Hello, thank you for joining me today. My name is Spencer. This is CROFTON Sports Extra, and let's dive into the segment of the day, which is all going to be about the Dolphins in their up and down season and how they are now in jeopardy of completely missing the playoffs. So obviously the Dolphins got off to a really fast start this season. They started off 3-0, including a huge win against the early Super Bowl favorite Buffalo Bills. Obviously, they added Tyreek Hill in the offseason to pair him with Jalen Waddle, got a new coach in Mike McDaniel. A lot of people thought this was going to be the most prolific, fastest offense in the NFL this year. I think a lot of people thought they were going to be putting up the same amount of points as a team like the Kansas City Chiefs, the Bills, the Bengals, teams like that. So this team has really been plagued with injury at the quarterback position. Obviously, Tua has missed quite a few games with his concussion, so I feel like not all is right in the Miami Dolphins organization. So as I stated earlier, they won 3 games to start off, then they lost 3 straight, then they won 5 straight, and now they're on another losing streak of 5 games, and this could be potentially number 6 if they lose this week. I feel as though they're going to lose this week and ultimately miss out on the playoffs, unfortunately. I think a lot of that comes down to the QB issues, honestly. I mean, they just haven't had that consistency at QB. I think a lot of, players on the team are kind of second-guessing themselves in what's going on, really. So I think next season is going to be interesting to see what they do with off-season acquisitions. It's going to be interesting to see what they do at quarterback. Maybe they go after a guy like Lamar Jackson. Maybe they stick with Tua, but at the same time, they have to worry about his health first and foremost. So it's going to be very interesting. I think the NFL, as well as the Miami Dolphins organization, are under a lot of fire right now with how they handled the Tua Tagovailoa concussion situation. Obviously, when they played the Bills early in the season, he showed symptoms on the field of him potentially having a concussion. He got hit, got straight up, fell back down, seemed very confused. The Dolphins did test him for a concussion. However, they cleared him in a matter of minutes, put him right back in the game. They ended up playing the Bengals next week, and we all know what happened with that. Got slammed on the ground. That time he did get diagnosed as a concussion. So I feel like that could have been prevented if they were to have handled the first incident better. Obviously, they sat him for a couple weeks after the Bengals incident with a concussion. He eventually came back, and now he got reconcussed 2 weeks ago against, I can't even remember who it was against. He got reconcussed 2 weeks ago. So now, while the Dolphins are fighting for their playoff life, they're not even in the playoffs right now. They're sitting at 8-8. They need to win this week and get some help. Obviously, you would think they would want to play all of their best players. Obviously, they would want to get their starting quarterback in there, Tua Tagovailoa. However, I think they need to play it safe here because they know what could potentially go wrong. If the Dolphins, by some miracle, end up winning this week and getting some help and ultimately making the playoffs, I see them as an early first-round exit. I think they're going to lose the first game they play. One of their most likely foes in the first round could be the Buffalo Bills. Although they've split the season series 1-1, I just don't see Tua coming back and playing at a very high level. So I think they're going to get bounced in the first round. I don't think Tua will come back at a high level just because of his inconsistency throughout the season. Obviously, he started off very strong, was a MVP candidate in many people's ladders to begin the season. Even midway through the season, a lot of people thought he was right up there with guys like Mahomes and Jalen Hurts. He's missed a lot of weeks this year, so he hasn't had that week-by-week preparation that he was used to begin the season. I could see him coming into the game just a little off rhythm, just not himself. Another thing is that last week, when Tua got his second diagnosed concussion, he actually finished that game, but a couple days later during film, Mike McDaniel was asking Tua about a couple of the decisions he made in the game, and Tua completely forgot, which is why they ended up testing him for the first place. So it doesn't seem like Tua is really in the right state of mind to even play football right now. It seems like it could be affecting maybe his memory. I think it just would be smart for the Dolphins to pull the plug on Tua, even if they do make the playoffs, and just let him heal up for next season. I think a guy like Tyreek Hill is going to be devastated, to say the least, that they're going to miss the playoffs this year, most likely. Obviously, he is from a winning organization in the Kansas City Chiefs. Used to go in the AFC Championship, Super Bowls, hoisting the Lombardi Trophy. So this is going to be a tough pill to swallow for him, in my opinion. Although this was his best season statistically, obviously he's second in the league in receiving yards. This is just not something he's used to. Ultimately, I don't think he's necessarily going to regret signing with the Dolphins. Obviously, he is the highest paid receiver in the NFL currently and in NFL history. So it's going to be hard to see him upset when he's still making all that money. If this were to happen again next season and miss the playoff, then I think he would start to rethink things. But I think he understands this is his first year with a new organization. They got a new coach. They got a young quarterback. It's going to take some time for this team to start really gelling and clicking and hitting full stride. At the end of the day, Tua's health is the most important thing for the Miami Dolphins organization. However, if a big free agent quarterback such as the likes of Lamar Jackson does become available, it would be hard to imagine them not at least consider bringing him in. I think the Dolphins do have some cap space to give up. I don't know if they have necessarily enough to make Lamar the highest paid quarterback in the NFL like he wants. But Miami, that is a city where Lamar, not necessarily, he didn't grow up there, but he grew up in a neighboring town, outskirt of Miami. So I think the city would love to have him as well as the fan base in Miami. I think that would definitely be something that there would be mutual interest in. Although I consider this an unlikely scenario, I could see Tom Brady being a dark horse candidate to land with the Miami Dolphins in the offseason. I think both parties would draw a lot of interest from one another. Although Brady's clearly getting up there in age, I think he might have enough in the tank for one last run, and I think Miami would be the perfect destination for him. Obviously, he's already in Florida with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He would just have to move a little bit up north and travel to Miami to start with his new team. I think Brady wants to go somewhere that's in win-now mode. Obviously, the Dolphins have the offensive pieces. They have the fastest wide receiver duo in Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. Their defense is looking pretty good as well. They just traded for Bradley Chubb, who is an outstanding outside linebacker. I would not be shocked either if Brady somehow reels Rob Gronkowski out of retirement to give it one last go, see if he get the number 8. So those are my thoughts on the Miami Dolphins. Thank you all for joining me today. Again, this is Spencer. This is CROFTON Sports Extra. See you guys next time.